A lot of people are going to like Sparty because of Tom Izzo, Rob Brown. Are you one of those people?
Is this year, PJ Glasser, and I don't know if I'm just making something out of nothing here for the sake of a narrative. We are radio guys. It's what we do. But is this the first year that it really felt like Tom Izzo's frustrated? Not like kind of narrative frustrated, not frustrated for the sake of inspiring his team heading into the tournament and heading into March, but like the first year where it kind of felt like, starting with that loss early in the season we talked about, like it really feels like Tom Izzo's looking at this team like, what the hell are we doing? Like, how is this us? How are we where we are? It feels that way to me. Now, there's good news, bad news here for Mississippi State. The good news, bad news is the Josh Hubbard, Tulu Smith connection is very, very real. It gives you a lot of speed on the outside, and it gives you a lot of speed on the outside that is countered by having a big, bruising, run through your chest big man down low. That's good news. If you can give me a team that has got that kind of electric 1-2 punch outside inside, I like that team in a lot of spots regardless of who they're up against. The problem is that the Spartans have actually had a lot of good luck against big-time big men. They went up against Zach Edey in the Big Ten tournament. He had 29, dropped 32 earlier in the year, though. So that big-time luck they've had against big men can be countered by a very physical game. Now, going to be a lot of people that argue that Zach Edey got some calls in that game and has been all season long, calls that I don't think Tulu's going to get. I'm rolling with the underdog in this one, PJ. Give me Mississippi State. I think they can play faster on the outside, and it helps them win. Give me the Dogs.
I am right there with you, my friend. Michigan State, there is an argument that they maybe shouldn't even be in the tournament, let alone a 9 seed. And I know it's Izzo in the tournament. I was at the forefront of that argument last year. I had him in my Final Four. They made it to the Sweet 16. They could have won that game against Kansas State. This year's team, Rob, they ain't it, man. They ain't it. The metrics still like them a lot. They really struggle to score at times. And this is the kind of game that Mississippi State wants to play. The Bulldogs are one of my favorite teams to bet in college basketball, Rob. They can't beat high-scoring, octane offenses. They can't beat Bama. They can't beat Kentucky. They can't beat Florida. You know who they can beat, though? Tennessee. They've beaten them twice this season, and they can beat Michigan State. Chris Jans is a head coach. He's defensive-minded. His teams are very physical. They want to rough you up. They want to play games in the 60s and 70s. You mentioned little Josh Hubbard. He is electric if you haven't seen him play before. He's really the only scoring threat for Mississippi State on the perimeter. And then you mentioned Tolu Smith down low with Chris Matthews as well. I like Mississippi State in this game. I think they win it outright, plus 100. And if I'm North Carolina, Rob, I'd be careful of that game in the round of 32 against Mississippi State as well. Gonzaga, McNeese State. Will Wade is the head coach for McNeese State. Mark Few and the Zags have been to 8 straight Sweet 16. Yet a lot of people like McNeese State in this game. Rob Brown, I am not one of them. I like the Zags to win. I like them to win comfortably. I lay the 6.5 with them. These are the kind of games that the Zags win. These are the kind of teams that they play against in their conference that they dominate. Their best player, shocker, is a big man, like it seemingly always is with Mark Few. Graham Ike has been awesome for them in the final month of the season. Zags have been rolling here as well. They split with St. Mary's. I think a lot of people are going to have that the WCC championship game in their mind with the Zags, and they're going to like McNeese State. We've talked about some 12s that we like. This is not one of them for me. I think the Zags roll, Rob Brown. I like them minus 6.5. What about you?
This is one of them for me. I like McNeese State a lot. And I think I'm in the minority on this one. I was looking earlier. McNeese State is getting picked in about 25% of the public brackets right now. They have one of the worst strength of schedules in college basketball this year. They are putting up 80 points a game. Gonzaga putting up 84. Listen, Will Wade, and we all saw what happened with him at LSU. If that drama doesn't go down, Will Wade right now is in that Nate Oates, Lamont Paris conversation in the Southeastern Conference of the future. Will Wade is one of the best college basketball coaches in college basketball right now. And if it wasn't for what happened at LSU, a decision that, by the way, I'm from Louisiana. I got friends down there that are LSU fans. I've got friends of mine and coworkers that cover that basketball team. They did not want to fire Will Wade. They didn't. There was a lot of controversy and a lot of conflict about making that. Will Wade doesn't have the talent Gonzaga has. There's no shock. What he does have is about 6 days to prep for a Gonzaga team that earned the lowest seed that they have been since, 2011? But don't have the teams that they have had since 2011. This is my 12-5 upset. There is one place McNeese loses this game. They have been a very poor defensive rebounding team. They give a lot of second chances up by not cleaning up the defensive glass. If McNeese State can grab more defensive rebounds than their season average by 5, 6, 7, 10, they can win this game because Will Wade will game prep them to a win. Screw it. I'm going YOLO. Give me McNeese State as my Big 12-5 upset here. I'm not picking them to go any further than that, but let's go with the Cowboys.
Drake has now become the favorite. They are -1.5, -120 on the money line. 7-10 matchup in the East Regional. Rob Brown, what are you doing in Drake and Wazoo?
I love this game. I love this game. I love specifically the Drake offense versus the Coug defense. I love this matchup. Drake's offense ranked number 26 in the country. And if you put the metrics together, Washington State's defense is hovering around number 30. This is not going to be a fast-paced game, I don't think. I think this is going to be a game that if you are a fan of up and down the court, fast-paced offense, this one might disappoint you a little bit. But Drake, to me, do you remember, PJ, when not terribly long ago, Tom Izzo said that mid-major auto bids should be a thing of the past, that we shouldn't be handing out auto bids to mid-majors because while the upsets are cute and fun, you take out some of the Drake is the reason we do mid-major auto bids because this is a team nobody's looked at, nobody's talked about, and yet offensively they are one of the most efficient teams in this tournament. I really like Drake. Not only do I like Drake, I'm actually going Drake on the money line to win this game. Cougs defense is very, very good. And I think over the past couple of years, hello, Houston, we have found out that defenses can still win championship, even though the trend feels like it's been pendulum shifting back to the offense. I like Drake with the money line upset in this game, PJ.
I like Drake as well, Rob. I think they're going to win the game. I agree with everything that you said. It's been a great year for Wazoo. Kyle Smith's a really good head coach. They kind of reinvented themselves a little bit. They went with the slower pace this year. Defense, they're an athletic team. They have some good big men. But Drake's got one of the best scorers in the country in Tucker DeVries. He's the coach's son, Darian DeVries. They have a lot of veteran guys that, Rob, they've been to 3 NCAA tournaments, and there's bad taste in their mouth from losing to Miami last year. Miami went to the Final Four. They should have lost to Drake in the first round. Bulldogs were up by 7 with 3 minutes to go in that game. Think Drake gets some revenge here against Wazoo. He's had a great season. I'm with you. I like the Bulldogs to win the game.
This is one of those games in the first round that I have multiple times said the sentence, I'll come back to that one later. You know what I mean? You go through the first round and you hit the chalk where you like the chalk and you pick your upsets and your mid-majors you think are going to move on. And then there's a few you go, I'll come back to that one later. And then you finish the bracket and you circle back around and you come back to the next one. And you're all right. Maybe I thought a little bit more about a A&M Nebraska game and you put that down and then you look down and you see this one and you go, I'll come back to this one. James Madison has won 13 in a row. They just won the Sun Belt. They're a lot of fun. They are from a smaller conference, but Wisconsin only a 5.5-point favorite in this one. And it feels like if you are circling potential bracket busters in the first round, this could be one of them. The Dukes knocked off Michigan State, and there's a lot of us who think that the Dukes kind of started the season-long mediocrity spiral that Tom Izzo's team was in this year. This is a team that has played some tough games on the road. That being said, they're 5-5 against the spread in their last 10. They're not. They haven't jumped off the page with anything since then. They do have Terrence Edwards Jr. is averaging almost 18 a game on 43% from the field and over 1/3 of his threes being good. I like this James Madison team. I've gone back and forth about whether or not this could be my 5-12 upset, and I'm just not there. I can't do it. I like the Dukes a lot. I want to pick the Dukes, but I think Wisconsin found the next level, the next gear during the conference tournament, and I think they carry that into at least the first round. Badgers, but I will not go with the 5.5. I'll go James Mad plus 5.5, but I think Wisconsin wins this game outright, PJ.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough game, Rob. I'm with you, man. Look, JMU's won 31 games this season. I mean, you win 31 games, doesn't matter which league you're in. You can play. You mentioned the win against Michigan State earlier in the year. They beat a Big Ten team. Wisconsin this year is very interesting, right? When you think of Wisconsin, you think like walk the ball up the floor, great on defense. They're actually a great offensive team this year. They've been very up and down. They were awesome to start the year. Then in like the middle of Big Ten play, they really struggled. And now obviously here in the Big Ten tournament, they made it to the final. They beat Purdue. They're playing a lot better. AJ Store's been awesome. Chucky Hepburn's been really good too. I'm kind of with you, Rob. I like JMU plus the points. I'm going to pick them on my bracket just because I'm really going to be rooting for them. I obviously live in the D.C., Maryland, Virginia area. I got a lot of friends that go to JMU. I'm really hoping that they win this game for them. But I agree. I think Wisconsin probably wins the game. This line went down to 4.5 a little bit and then quickly went back up to 5.5. So I think the line's about right. I think this is one of those games where I'm going to stay away betting it. I'm going to take JMU on my bracket, but I kind of do think Wisconsin ends up winning the game.